live. Just give me a sec to check. Huh. Always takes a minute. Says we're live on my end.
It's not live on mine yet.
No, not on mine either. I hit the button. Is it on the right stream?
Here we go. Now it's turning on.
Let me check. My end. Okay, we're good. We're good. Hey everyone, it's the Koopa Man.
And I'm Tracer Krieg.
And today, we're basically giving me an excuse to not do a video because YouTube sucks. Why does YouTube suck? Fair use.
In other words, they don't want you using anything that isn't said so by their corporate overlords.
Which are usually based around Hollywood or other big companies such as Disney, Sony, and others.
In other words, the Silicon Valley technocrats.
Mm-hmm. So, let's get right into this, shall we? Fair use on YouTube is not a new issue. It's been something that's going on for at least 10 or 15 years now. Whenever a smaller content creator such as myself or Tracer tries to basically get their foot in the door, YouTube and their copyright system tend to get in the way.
For example, during my, shall we say, aborted attempt to review The Mandalorian Season 2 and the Book of Boba Fett, I ran into two specific copyright issues. The first was using the footage from the show, in which case it resulted in every single review being copyright slammed, to the point that I could not air it for several days.
Whereas other larger review channels within multi-channel networks did not face the same scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. In fact, a lot of footage that you see on YouTube that does come from these TV shows, for example, almost always have to be edited in such a way as to avoid being copyright slammed. They have to take out very specific markers within the video that triggers these copyright attacks. The second copyright issue is actually still related to the reviews, which was from Toho. They had an issue with me using footage from Lone Wolf and Cub, using imagery from Lone Wolf and Cub, and then just trying to use audio from Lone Wolf and Cub. No matter what I did, they would not allow it to be put on the internet.
Mm-hmm. As for myself, well, as you can see by the fact that last week's video is linking to Rumble, something that YouTube won't allow me to hyperlink for an unrelated reason. Yeah, they even do this for older movies, such as The Boondock Saints. I had to cut out huge portions of that review where I used clips to demonstrate from the movie scenes of which that basically fulfill my point of what I was trying to say. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain fart there.
Don't worry about it. So why is this happening? Well, it ultimately boils down to, I'm just going to say, two specific issues. When YouTube was bought out by Google, that brought into the general sphere of entertainment mega conglomerates. These mega conglomerates saw YouTube as the perfect advertisement station, where they can put their movies, their commercials, their products onto it. There's a problem though. YouTube was built for content creators. It was built for the small man to create just their own vision on there, and eventually make some money off of it. The issue is that this conflicts with the interests of the mega conglomerates. They want to basically turn YouTube into Netflix, and we're already seeing it with YouTube Movies, YouTube Red, YouTube Music. They are slowly but surely trying to turn this into their own, collectively owned, neutral streaming service, while pushing out the content creators.
And it's not like it's not like this is a new issue, as this has been going on for years. In fact, the video we're going to show you today to demonstrate this point is a video made by Doug Walker, also known as the Nostalgia Critic, and it's a video from 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And that ultimately brings us to the second issue, and this is tied to the first. When YouTube is partnered up with these conglomerates, obviously they want stricter copyright laws. Well, there's a problem with this. YouTube has become so massive, so much data, so much raw content, that it is proving impossible to properly monitor everything for the issue of copyright. So to get around this, YouTube has come up with an algorithm. You've all heard of the algorithm, you also have heard how unfair it is, and it's very simple. The algorithm does not understand nuance. It is designed specifically to go after specific trigger words, sequences, and key moments within videos. If it's triggered, there's nothing that can be done. It's just going to go off of its programming of, oh, it's copyrighted, so now it's copyrighted. Even if it is under the use of, well, fair use, it doesn't matter, because they're dumb robots. And all they can do is what they're programmed to do.
It makes it even worse because even though this is a criticism that is even on the Wikipedia page for the YouTube copyright system, even the appeals process is carried out by bots.
Which, yeah, good luck trying to get your stuff appealed. I mean, we've seen nothing but horror stories, especially from the historical arms community, where their content is being censored just for the use of very specific words or terminologies or names of particularly unsavory groups, even if it is for the purposes of historical review and analysis.
The copyright system has basically opened the door to even more draconian restrictions on YouTube creators.
Let's put it this way. YouTube will not allow the mention of a certain funny mustache man. But same mustache man burned books that conflicted with his vision of what he thought things should be. How is it any different?
Exactly. Alright, so if you're ready, I'm going to open the watch together and we're going to go through a video that hopefully Mr. Walker himself does not mind us using. Which I doubt it because Doug is kind of cool about this shit.
Yeah.
Alright. And Tracer, I gave you the watch together link. If you can just enter and start the video for me.
I got a problem.
What?
It says invalid access code. Please use a valid invitation link.
Alright, give me a second. We're a professional stream, folks. I just showed it on screen. No one's gonna look at it. No one gives a crap.
You know, since I am watching through your watch together here, through your square machine, can I just watch it through here, or do I need to go on to watch together?
Well, if you want to pause the video, you'll want the watch together.
Okay, just try sending me another link then.
Okay,
there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, got it. Joining room. Proceed.
Alright, if you could just hit play.
Yep.
Okay, that is indeed a little loud, so let me...
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it, so you don't have to.
Yeah, is that good?
Online
Yeah, that's
videos
good.
have come a long way, haven't they? We've gone from the novelty of just filming our cats to budgeted studios that turn out professional work every year, as well as the novelty of just filming our cats. But there's a group of entertainers that, despite growing more and more popular and having done this for years, still meet with a lot of hostility from Hollywood. And those are the entertainers who incorporate fair use.
Which has slowly and surely have become a lot of us.
I mean, who doesn't want to stop working a 9-to-5 and, well, use their entertainment to make some money?
And to be fair, it's kind of Doug's fault because he's the one who laid the groundwork for this kind of model. Like, for all of the goofiness that the Nostalgia Critic was and how kind of dated a lot of his older stuff is nowadays, you can't deny this man was kind of a pioneer.
Yeah, he was.
And he still is. He's still doing it, and he's still doing pretty well for himself.
I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, a lot of the reviewing channels that exist nowadays, even the really good ones, especially really popular ones, all trace their DNA back to Doug and back to Red Letter Media.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who started the whole... What was the name of those two critics back in the day, Siskel and
Siskel and Ebert.
Siskel and Ebert, they effectively took that format and brought it onto YouTube and made it something that's accessible to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have a Jeremy Johns without a Doug Walker, for example.
Mm-hmm. So it's fitting that he spoke out about this at least 8 years ago. However, it seems his plea has gone completely unanswered, as the problem not only still exists, it's gotten even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I shall continue.
This is what we do. Now, for those who don't know, fair use is the doctrine that states excerpts of copyrighted material may, under certain circumstances, be quoted verbatim for purposes such as criticism, news reporting, teaching, and research, without the need for permission from or payment to the copyright holder. So that means if you use copyright material for, say, a review or satire or education, it's completely legal. Too bad Hollywood doesn't see the law that way.
They never will.
Years, video producers have been battling off attack after attack, resulting in multiple deleted videos, sometimes even deleted channels, affecting the income of people who now do this for a living. In hindsight, this is no real big shock. As Hollywood over the years has repeated this pattern over and over, they just never realized they're actually repeating it. Since the early days, there's always been something that was going to destroy the innocent artists who just want to do nothing but give you movies. First it was TV, VHS recording, then it was DVR, DVD rippers, and now, right on cue, it's the internet.
On them going after VHS recordings, it's funny that a certain Mr. Rogers actually went before Congress to talk with them in favor of VHS recording against Hollywood trying to use the government to go after it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is,
I mean, how do you even enforce such a stricture like that?
Exactly.
You kind of can't, not without invading, effectively, the private lives of people.
it's something they're still doing to this day.
Mm-hmm.
They went after DVR, they're going after... And whatever the next thing comes about, they're just going to go after that as well.
God forbid you ever mention Putlocker 1, 2, 3 movies. Exactly.
Of course, that actually kind of skirts the line, because that's actually uploading the whole movie.
Yeah, to the point that when a movie first comes out, you even notice this. Sometimes it's filmed in the theater, sometimes it's just made to look like it's filmed in the theater.
Exactly. Honestly, I would talk about this, but this goes into another whole topic where I wanted to do a video about video game piracy. If this stuff was any good to begin with, people would go out and see it regardless of if you can pirate it or not. It's the same way with games. Like, that's the same reason why GOG, Good Old Games, doesn't have the anti-piracy de novo software. Because, like, if the game is good, people will buy it anyway. Alright, shall I hit play?
Oh, poor Hollywood. Look at all the box office records you're breaking in the past 10 years. Look at all the new filmmakers that wouldn't exist without online media. Look at all the digital commercial tie-ins and trailers that you're exploiting the hell out of. You're killing him, Internet! You're strangling him like a newborn unicorn who just wants to give you rainbows. So, obviously, like in the days of TV and so forth, Internet did not kill or weaken the Hollywood system. But that didn't stop them from trying to take control anyway, as we saw with acts like SOPA giving complete control to US law enforcement to combat online copyright infringement, with no due process. Yeah.
I still remember SOPA.
Mm-hmm, so do I.
That was kind of a big deal back then, and honestly, while there was some misconceptions around it, it still was an overreach of government power that they were trying to put forth. And
let's be honest here, this is no different than, for example, a lot of these guys who are proposing exactly the same measures that SOPA used to do back in the day. Well, they tend to be the leftist, black book crowd who continuously criticize the period of the 1950s for going after communists. And I'm sorry, but this is no different.
And the sad thing is, like, Walker and his cohorts, who were going up against SOPA at the time, Didn't really realize that. Because a lot of them are or were leftists. So
Yeah, most of the time you don't realize that you're working for the jackboot until the jackboot is on your throat.
exactly. Alright, I shall hit play again.
That was a scary time for the internet. Google even shut down their site in protest. And this isn't even that long ago. Now, thankfully, that act never passed. But that doesn't mean their practices aren't still being put into effect.
Hi, I'm Alex from I Hate Everything. 3 days after I released my review of Cool Cat Saves the Kids, a terrible, infamously bad movie.
Well, I don't really like I Hate Everything. I gotta admit that I remember when this happened, and it was really shitty that it did. When his channel got taken down for this.
Mm-hmm. It was done for this movie. I mean, a movie that barely anyone knows about, and the ones who do know it's crap.
Mm-hmm.
I received a suspicious copyright strike from the director of the movie himself, Derek Savage, who over the course of about a month used this unfair strike to censor and restrict my channel, and even tried to bully an apology out of me in private emails I've since made public. This clueless man, who has shown multiple times that he has about as little understanding of how the fair use law works as he is knowledgeable in competent filmmaking, was given the tools to waste my time and threaten my livelihood, purely because he didn't like my negative review of his god-awful movie, which by the way, I did actually recommend at the very end of the video, in a so bad that it's good way. And I wasn't alone either. It turns out Mr. Savage had been on a copyright striking rampage, silencing at least 2 other creators who had a negatively slanted review of his movie. Savage's childish behavior aside, this highlights how hilariously slanted and weighted against the creator the YouTube copyright strike system is. He didn't have to show any evidence, he didn't have to prove his case or worry about any possible repercussions. He definitely would have lost in court if it had gone there, so once he failed to refute my appeal, the strike's time limit ran out and my channel was eventually restored to normal.
And what's even worse is, like, this is something that the director personally did. It's not always the case that happens. A lot of the times they hire third-party companies. A lot of the times they hire companies that aren't even based in America. If I remember right, when you were doing your Boba Fett reviews, it wasn't...
I got targeted by the Mexican division of Disney.
Exactly. I didn't even know there was a Mexican division of Disney. In fact, there isn't. They were just using a third-party company that was copyright striking stuff on their behalf.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and because of that, you always have to wait out the time, because that's what, and sometimes they come back twice or even 3 times before they finally fuck off.
And what's worse is that, again, there's very little chance you're going to be able to appeal any of this, because how are you supposed to get your appeal to somebody who will actually listen and examine the case? If they examine the case, are they actually going to be knowledgeable about the law in this situation? Will they actually understand copyright laws?
Mm-hmm.
More than likely, no. And if they do, they're going to probably side with the man who gives them the biggest paycheck.
And even worse than that, like, a lot of us small-time YouTubers, we can't afford lawyers. So even if this does go to court, and even if we do have the right, if everything's completely in the right, because we can't afford to take it to the case, take it to court, we're kind of up a creek without a paddle.
And with a hole in the canoe.
Mm-hmm. And the sad thing is, it's going to take something like that to get this changed, because we've tried everything. It's going to take this going not just to court, but all the way through the courts, all the way to practically the Supreme Court, if not a federal district court, before anything changes. And even then, it's only going to change a little bit. Alright, I'm going to continue the video.
It was a colossal waste of time and energy for everyone involved.
Hey guys, it's YMS here to explain a few things about YouTube's copyright system. It wasn't too long ago when one of my videos was unjustly blocked worldwide and I was unable to appeal it because I had other appeals that had yet to be resolved. Now unfortunately, YouTube only allows you to file 3 appeals at one time. What is the reasoning for this? Well, I'm not really sure, but all it seems to do is provide more leverage for the claimant and less leverage for the defendant.
There are tons of videos that are taken down unfairly on YouTube, trying to put people who use fair use in the same category as those who steal or upload entire content for profit. But how can this be? Isn't there a system in place? In theory. After Google bought YouTube, Viacom immediately went to court against them for all the content being played without their permission. Funny.
Funny enough, Viacom is one of the worst companies that do this.
Mm-hmm.
The owners of Nickelodeon, MTV, I forget what else. I think they're part of Paramount now, actually.
Yes. I remember back in the day, they actually tried to buy Fox before Disney scooped it up.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they only did that to get the X-Men. And the purchase hasn't been working out for them at all.
Nope.
But that's a completely unrelated thing. All right, let's continue.
Seeing how Viacom actually uploaded about 100 of the videos they tried to sue YouTube over, YouTube was able to defend itself with the DMCA safe harbor provisions. They created a system that would shed any responsibility for any videos uploaded on YouTube and, again in theory, help protect its creators.
About the safe harbor protections, those fall under the same category as some I've mentioned in the video before, the Section 230 protections between publishers and platforms. And it's basically just become an even worse problem than the DMCA thing. Because now YouTube exploits their platform protections while acting as a publisher. To explain the difference, a platform allows users to upload whatever they want with complete free speech, and the platform is fully protected. Whereas a publisher picks and chooses what is allowed to be put on their platform. And YouTube acts as a publisher when they selectively take down videos, not just through false DMCA, but also through basically selective rules enforcement is how I'm going to put it, because they use their policies to target certain creators who lean a certain way politically, especially now during an election year. They did it in 2020, they did it in 2016.
Steven Crowder, and the like.
Yes. And it's something that still goes on YouTube. It's been going on less on other platforms because, like, Facebook is starting to get the picture because they can feel the noose tightening around their neck. And Twitter was bought out by Elon Musk, who basically got rid of all that garbage.
Yeah, now they're trying to take him down for it.
Mm-hmm. But, like, with this DMCA stuff, with Section 230, it's something else that, like, both examples are something that's going to have to get to at least a federal appeals court before anything changes. It's only going to change a little bit. Unless the system itself is completely turned on its head.
The only way I see that happening, which in theory it could, is if there's a massive business implosion with a lot of these corporations, which, given the loss in profit that we're seeing, to the point that there is an even attempted coup with Disney at the moment, maybe that might happen sometime in the future, but I don't know.
I mean, with the way the economy has been going, it's more likely than it isn't. And it's something that's been going on in not just the entertainment industry, but every industry. We're basically on the heels of another recession. And it's going to bite us all really hard. Alright, I'm going to keep playing.
This system was, is, and will continue to be abused. And for some reason, in a much more rapid pace this past year. The system is there's two penalties for copyright infringements, a claim or a strike. A strike is the most severe. Your video gets taken down from YouTube because a copyright owner sent a complete legal request asking YouTube to do so. Just one strike limits your channel, including only airing 15-minute videos and an inability to dispute content.
Now, while they have changed this system, it still effectively works the same. You still can get copyright strikes this way, but effectively, your video will still get blocked if you only get claimed. Like, I have entire videos that have gone down and needed entire whole chunks removed because of a claim, not a strike. So like I said, it's only gotten worse.
And it's likely going to continue getting worse.
Unless Elon Musk decides to buy YouTube, which, you have the money, you save Twitter. I'm just saying.
I think he's waiting to see how things turn out with Disney first.
Alright. Let's hope so.
claims for 6 months. You get 3 of these and your channel is gone. And then there's the more popular yet less severe penalty, claims.
If Content ID detects copyrighted material within your video, then an automatic action will take place. This action is entirely dependent on what the copyright holder previously set it to do. For example, if I owned a movie and I wanted to add it to YouTube's Content ID system, I would get to decide how much footage from my film would need to appear in someone else's video before it automatically claims it. You can also receive claims that were filed manually. A manual claim implies that somebody actually watched the video and determined it was infringing before filing the initial claim.
So, how can that possibly be unfair?
YouTube's system is set up in such a way that incentivizes claimants to abuse it, and that is precisely why their system is rampant with abuse. You can...
I mean, yeah, they have a point. It's a system that's made to be exploited. Like, it's like the ESRB. They made this just so they can discriminate.
Yeah, I guess again, when you consider the maintenance cost of running YouTube, what makes more money? Business ventures that invest money into it, or content creators? I hate to say it, the businesses will always win.
And even then, they're not making that much money. So it's almost like finding a nice middle ground would actually put them back in the. Is it in the red? That's the good one, or in the black?
Into the red.
We'll put them back in the red. All right.
file a dispute, and then it's up to the claimant to respond to your dispute within 30 days. If they don't respond within 30 days, then their claim will be removed and your video will be back to normal. If they do respond, they can either remove the claim or reinstate the claim. If they reinstate the claim, then you have to file an appeal, and they have yet another 30 days to respond to that.
The most excruciating part was the lack of human interaction from anyone at YouTube. The automated emails and forums seem designed in such a way that no human working at YouTube will ever actually see it, so it makes you feel pretty helpless and pretty worthless.
And I should also mention that back then, like, even larger channels had to deal with it unless they were part of a multi-channel network, in which case the network would go to legal bat for you. In theory. A lot of the times the MCNs were just as predatory.
There was no one I could contact to fix a very, very simple problem. So the entire situation was elongated and needlessly blown comically out of proportion.
I see no reason why there should be a limit on the amount of appeals I can send when there's no limit on the amount of claims I can receive. And what's worse is that even if the amount of appeals was increased, I would still only really be able to use 2 at a time. Reason being is that during the appeals process, the claimant has the option to remove your video and issue a strike on your account. You can fight to get your video back up and get the strike removed from your channel by filing a counter notification, but those can take up to a month to complete as well. And as soon as you have 3 strikes on your channel at any one time, your channel is automatically removed. So even though I'm technically allowed 3 appeals at once, I make sure to limit myself to 2 in case all of them come back with takedown notices.
But okay, so some companies are gonna be unfair and some even make mistakes. At least they're gonna try not to do it again, right?
Nope.
Why? There are no penalties for companies creating false claims or denials. In fact, there's a claim where you can take someone's monetization on a video, even if the claim turns out to be false. So if a studio says, hey, your Event Horizon review, that's our review, 100%. They can take the money you're supposed to be making on it until you file a counterclaim. And if they never fight it or are proven to be wrong, they still get to keep all the money that they made on you. Nope.
I believe this is the one thing they actually fixed, because he suggests later that the money will be held in escrow while the claim is being looked over, and if it comes back against the claimant, the user will get the money. But that's the only change they made to this system.
Yep.
And like, it doesn't affect us because neither of us are really monetized.
Well, within the next couple of weeks, hopefully I will be, but we shall see how that goes.
Yeah. Even then, it's probably only going to be a couple of bucks at first.
At least it's something.
Yeah, it's something. Hopefully I get there someday. Alright, let's hit play.
No questions asked. But there's even more they can do than that.
You would think that studios wouldn't go around filing fraudulent claims against people's videos, but not only do they do that, but they often outsource other companies to do it for them. I've received countless claims from a rights management company known as Egeda, and this claimant in particular is one of the worst to deal with. You can dispute your claim and provide factual evidence as to why your content falls under fair use, and they just reinstate their claim anyway and will often issue a takedown notice against your video.
So you might be thinking,
Team 4-Star had to deal with this not because of Toei themselves, who numerous times have gone on record, approving, sort of approving Dragon Ball Z Abridged in some ways. But because of the automated system that the company uses, and because the company is based out of Japan and they have a completely different ideas when it comes to copyright. A lot looser ideas when it comes to copyright over there, but completely different ideas. It's basically what killed the motivation for them to continue Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Even more recently, about a year ago, a lot of the music you saw back in the 1980s with Vietnam movies such as Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, any and all songs that were used in them and under the brand of Warner Brothers were recently taken down by their music distributor and rights holder. I believe it's called Water Tower Industries.
Mm-hmm.
Water Tower Industries basically targeted anybody with any kind of connection to these movies using those specific kinds of music, even if it wasn't even monetized. My Kong Skull Island music tribute, for example, which used Painted Black, was targeted by this and taken down, even though I didn't make even a cent off of it.
Mm-hmm. It was way before.
If anything,
before.
If anything, I was using it to promote the movie.
Yes. That was way before you even had enough subs to even be considered be monetized.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it is at the end of the day. They still put ads on our videos even though we're not monetized. They put ads on my videos and I'm less than 200 subscribers. I just got a message from a user who's also watching us. Team 4-Star's copyright strikes always happen in January and not every year, leading to people assuming that it was an eager, newly hired lawyer filing the claim. It probably was. It probably was a new lawyer. But the fact is that they outsource this to private copyright firms who usually just they do stuff like this, and it's something that the big content creators have to deal with, the small content creators have to deal with. The PewDiePies of the internet. This is not something that it was PewDiePie versus a T-Series. The T-Series has to deal with. It's not something the big companies have to deal with because it's the big companies that are doing it. It's the big companies that YouTube is tipping the scales towards because it's the big companies they think are going to make them even more money. YouTube doesn't want to be YouTube anymore. It wants to be television.
Mm-hmm.
Could you hit play for me?
well, big deals. He had to fight off a claim every once in a while. How often could they possibly happen? A few times a year, maybe once or twice a month? Every other day, we have to fight off a new claim.
I've fought and won every single illegitimate claim thrown my way, but as the number of videos on my channel increases, so does the likelihood that I'll be stuck with too many claims to deal with at once. There's countless videos on my channel that I was unable to monetize for several months just because of how long the claims process takes.
It's gotten to a point where we've had to change our content dramatically. Clips of films have been intensely reduced down, and some reviews don't even use clips. They use reenactments.
A lot of what he's saying is using reenactments. It's a little bit more common sense because the way Doug Walker structures his videos, they tend to be 20, 30 minutes long and use clips from the movie. Sort of like what I do with my own videos, but he is a lot more discreet about it. Sometimes I just put in clips that just for the sake of showing the clip, which probably is my own fault, but still. But it's understandable that he has switched up his content this way because he's now going into the Siskel and Ebert. He's talking about the newer movies as well as the older movies. The older movies still use the old format. The issue.
Let's be honest. The reenactment skits, they tend to be freaking hilarious.
Yeah, they do. It's because he hired really funny people. And it's good for him that these people were hired for a completely different project that didn't seem to go all that well, but he still kept them on and found a way to still use them. And Malcolm in particular, the black dude he has working for him, he can be pretty funny sometimes.
Yeah, you should have seen his Rogue One skit where he was playing his Vader.
I need to see that. I haven't seen a lot of the newer Nostalgia Critics.
Definitely check it out. It's actually pretty funny.
All right.
However, as other cases prove, even not using footage isn't enough.
I received a strike on my account on one of the Midnight Screenings reviews, which is a series I do in which me and another person sit in a car in a parking lot after going to see a movie in the theater, and we just talk about the movie.
And this thing that happened to Cinema Snob, even if you don't use clips from the movie, they still will do this, and they're still doing stuff like this today.
I mean, some of my own reviews, which only use still images, still got flagged for this just because I was reviewing their TV show.
Mm-hmm. And it makes it really difficult to talk about, especially like new and upcoming movies and TV shows and games and stuff, especially as a smaller, up and coming content creator. And it's tailor-made to go after the small guys. Now, Brad Jones is by no means a small guy. Like, he was on Channel Awesome. He's about as big as Doug Walker and still kind of is. The thing is, though, if they're doing this to Cinema Snob, imagine what they're doing to low guys like us.
Mm-hmm. In fact, something I've kind of noticed that I'm going into conspiracy mode here. I'm going to use Disney as a bit of an example.
Right.
A lot of reviewers who were particularly critical against most Disney products tend to be targeted far more than the ones, shall we say, who are more receptive to their movies.
Or the ones who
to
are...
the point that
Or the ones who are critical but still generate the algorithm and revenue for the company. People like Mahler and EFAP, who, while they're critical of the movies, their audience still watch these movies. Which is why YouTube doesn't go after them.
Whether or not this is actually the case or not, there is a grander conspiracy to target people who are not only more critical, but largely trying to sway their audiences from watching the movies in favor of those who ultimately encourage people to watch them. I don't know. It could just be a simple case of laziness, but as we've kind of seen with stuff that's been coming out really recently, there's something nefarious going on here.
Mm-hmm. If there's negative reviewers up, it's ones that are approved by YouTube because they generate enough ad money and they also generate enough interest in the content they're talking about. I'm going to hit play.
There's no clips, no footage. It is just us sitting in a car talking about a movie. And if you didn't know that, you could know that by just simply watching the video.
So what started out as a means to protect studios and content creators is now being used as a means to silence and steal. We're at a point now where not only is this becoming more and more wrong, it's becoming illegal. In the case of Lens versus Universal, Universal claimed a 29-second video of a baby dancing to a
I believe I
Prince
remember
song
when this happened.
infringed copyright. Yeah, that's how desperate it's getting. Thankfully, EFF sued Universal on Lens's behalf, arguing that Universal abused the DMCA by improperly targeting a lawful fair use. A federal appeals court affirmed that copyright holders must consider whether a use of material is fair use before sending a takedown notice. But don't worry, that still didn't stop the studios from wrongful DMCA takedowns. Tons of them still going on today.
Like I said, this is actually something that did go to the Federal Circuit Court. And it came back in the favor of the private user. And it still goes on.
What happened to it?
Nothing. Like, this is going to take a huge fucking thing. Like, more than just one small bit. This is going to take some that is so big it actually gets media attention. But it's never going to get media attention because, well, guess who owns the media?
Yeah, what you're looking at is effectively a class action lawsuit on the scale of basically the hot coffee scandal that occurred with, was it McDonald's?
I
That's over the hot coffee scandal?
when you said hot coffee, I was thinking GTA. No, it was definitely McDonald's.
It wasn't just one claimant that pushed it through, even though she was very, famous for it. There were dozens of them, and they ultimately gathered together into class action lawsuits that ultimately saw a policy change with McDonald's.
And honestly, the sad thing about that woman is she was the only one who was legitimately really badly burnt because of mismanagement of the call. Everyone else on that were just ambulance chasers. But but yet she's still the one who's getting flack for it, even though that coffee. That wasn't just a case of coffee equals hot. She actually got third-degree burns from that, and that's not good. That kills actual nerve endings.
Yep. She needed extensive skin grafts because of it, and she couldn't afford it, hence the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that a whole bunch of ambulance chasers just jumped onto that case, and the fact that the result kind of went too far in the other direction, it just goes to show that the system doesn't work. It's never going to work.
Unless there's some kind of radical change.
Yeah, but don't hold your breath on that. I'm going to hit play.
I never do.
Studio Ghibli gave us a strike for telling people to go see My Neighbor Totoro. Ironic, as the studio that created the No-Face, a creature who just wants to spread joy but gets consumed by greed, gobbling up anything that comes in its way, is now sadly the perfect mascot for this situation. When we upload an extended version of our commercial reviews, the Apple commercial about the 1984 future got claimed. The comedy writes itself. A company warning us about an Orwellian future, saying they'll lead us away from a world that controls and censors us, is controlling and censoring us.
In more ways than one, Doug. In more ways than one.
I mean, let's look at it this way. Again, I'm going to kind of use the Disney example. Obviously, the most infamous development that's come from it is that George Lucas has been backing Bob Iger in going against the attempted coup. Even going so far as to say that entertainment magic shouldn't be made by amateurs. Now, whether or not he actually said this, or this is just some PR...
It does contradict things he said before about Disney. I'm just putting it that way.
It is true, but the point is, if he did say this, and he's sincere about it, then it just reveals a kind of growing trend we're seeing with the pioneers of basically new age entertainment from the 70s and 80s, such as George Lucas, Ridley Scott, James Cameron, and the others, who started out as visionaries who fought against the man that was large corporations that basically forbade the creation of independent movies, have now become exactly what they have sworn to destroy so many years ago, just by the virtue of getting old, accumulating an enormous amount of wealth, and, well, basically having enough money to do whatever they want without any repercussions.
They became their parents they were fighting against when they were hippies. They didn't become the system, they bought into it.
More like the system bought them.
Happened every time.
So, when he brings this up, that's kind of what happened. They became successful from this. They became lazy. And now it becomes a matter of not only sitting on their laurels, but protecting the laurels.
Oh, you really stopped that future from happening? The studios have made it clear they are not going to play fair, and they will step over anybody's rights that they need to get exactly what they want. So, what needs to change? Well, first make it so that studios can't steal money that's rightfully yours. If there's a monetization claim, why not place that money made for the video in a side account?
That's exactly what they did, and it hasn't fixed anything. I'm sorry, Doug.
That way, if the claimant releases the claim, the money should go to the creator. Second, the 3-strike rule. How come 1 strike disables you from disputing any other copyright claim? If we were going by baseball rules, does 1 strike limit the batter's ability in any way? Up, 1 strike, that means you can only swing halfway. Up, 2 strikes, that means you can only swing at balls on certain sides of the plate. Fighting claims is something that every channel will have to go through at some point. Hell, with these examples, it's inevitable, and some of us go through it more often than others. So why take away your right to fight that, especially if it turns out the party accusing you is wrong? In fact, since a court ruled that fair use has to be taken into consideration, why not a grace period before any action is taken? A strike should not automatically...
That would be a decent solution, but it would only be a band-aid, I feel.
...and immediately be placed on your account. There should be time to notify YouTube that you're fighting the DMCA takedown. And until that's resolved and seen who's right or wrong, an account shouldn't be penalized. Which leads to the most important part. Claimants need repercussions for false claims. You can lose money or your channel due to claims and takedowns. Those are the penalties you have to suffer. So why isn't there any penalty for ones that are retracted or false? It just allows one side to have all the power. There's a great irony that the creation of Hollywood and these studios came from something similar to what we're going through right now. Thomas Edison held many of the patents over the technologies needed to create movies, and he was overly tough on upholding them, exhibiting a near monopoly. So creators fled to California and created Hollywood, because they thought the limitations and abuse of control was getting out of hand. Yeah, sound familiar?
That among other reasons, but yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And like we said with George Lucas and the others earlier, this is what happened to Hollywood as a whole. They became their parents. They became Thomas Edison.
Yeah, effectively, this is what happens when you centralize the means of production to one spot. Inevitably, you're going to get, well, effectively an oligarchy in there who are determined to extract the most amount of profit out of you for the least amount of effort, and how dare you go above our heads to do it.
And we're already seeing the same thing we saw with the move to Hollywood happening again 100 years later. Like, we're seeing studios open up in other states like Texas.
Mm-hmm. Hell, Amazon has actually been trying to open up basically a movie and television producing center here in Albuquerque. I don't really know if it's gone anywhere, but it has increased the amount of people who want to film in New Mexico.
Alright, can I hit play?
Years later, the studios now are the ones who are trying to limit and control, while the creators are still trying to create. It's clear that this current system is made to be abused, and will continue to be abused until A, it's fixed, or B, the affected channel gets big enough to give the claimants enough bad press to scare them into not filing the claim. And that shouldn't be how things are done.
But it's how it is.
I've been doing this professionally for over 8 years. And I have never had a day where I felt safe posting one of my videos, even though the law states I should be safe posting one of my videos.
He's been doing it 16 years now, and I'm pretty sure if we asked him, he would say the same thing.
Hasn't gotten any better.
Nope.
For years, Hollywood has been wrong about what will destroy them. And every time a supposed threat came about, when trying to take them down didn't work, they inevitably turned to the most obvious and logical solution. Join forces. Hollywood works with TV, and Hollywood should work with the internet. This is proof that the only...
And now they do work with the internet, and it's even worse.
They own it.
Yup.
thing that can destroy Hollywood is Hollywood. The system that is in place is being used by studios and now even other content creators as a scare tactic to silence criticism and stunt channels that could grow into popular media outlets but aren't because they could say something somebody doesn't like. Some businesses have picked up on how to utilize this. In fact, online creators have given attention to movies, shows, and games that probably would have disappeared unless the internet brought focus to it. It doesn't even matter if it's good or bad. In fact, it's usually looked at more if it's glorified for being bad.
Like, Tommy Wiseau is kind of infamous for, like, a company working on his behalf doing this to the Nostalgia Critic for his review of The Room, which, honestly, that review of The Room and that incident sort of gave a second wind to Tommy Wiseau's career, and now he's making basically ironic movies, like one where there's, like, a shark in the flood, and, like, I think he's the supporting actor in his own movie in this one. And he just makes intentionally so bad it's good films, and people just really enjoy them now.
Yeah.
This is the kind of gold mine so much media is missing out on. Some studios recognize the power of the internet and go in the direction they know media is going. but others still see the change as too hard or too much work, not willing to put in the effort to do what they know is right.
When you receive a claim, it hasn't even gone through a human being yet. YouTube gives claimants the power to make money off of your video before it's even been determined that your video is actually infringing upon their copyright.
Why should content creators be responsible for having to deal with angry people who take reviews personally and use that anger to maliciously target and silence voices with a system that allows them to do so?
Okay, I actually have a bit of a question here. Will the advent of AI now slowly being introduced into basically everything from art creation to text writing to even creating characters that you can talk to, are we inevitably going to see the creation of claim addressing AI being used to talk to people?
It might be the case, and like with the way AI is going, like right now it's still AI because all an algorithm is a simplistic AI, but I get what you mean, a complex AI. That might be a way to change things a little bit for the better or a lot for the worse, depending on how they create it.
It's no wonder studios don't think twice about issuing illegitimate claims, because chances are either you won't fight back or you won't be able to fight back.
Yep.
And only months after this incident, my entire channel was taken down for about 17 hours because of false spam flaggings. It took multiple weeks to even receive any kind of explanation or apology from YouTube directly. And if I never made such a loud noise about it, my channel would have remained taken down for no reason.
Look,
To this day, false DMCA flagging remains a tactic that people use to silence criticism and silence their opponents. And it's
What do you think?
unsavory people like Nick Fuentes employ regularly.
What do you think on the 7.0 unification trailer that we decided that anyone who was being particularly malicious in the comments or had a particular grudge against the mods, we immediately removed them because of the threat that they might actually try to go after the video and my channel as a result, because they have a personal grudge against members of the modding community, or they're just dicks.
Yep. And it's always going to be a risk, especially if you're like the kind of personality like me who likes to make enemies all the time.
Even me, who just tends to point out things that I've read or things that I've learned over the years just to better educate people, I still will come across people who take offense to that. I mean, on a channel called Parry This, he did a video where, how do we talk about this without the video getting taken down? Okay. A certain battle on the Eastern Front. What if modern-day Germans with a tank formation were brought into that conflict on the side of
The Austrian
the
painter.
side with the tricolor flag?
The Austrian painter. We'll call him that.
I pointed out that it is incredibly unlikely for the modern-day Germans to want to fight for that particular side due to the ideological difference and the simple fact that, morally speaking, they've been taught that these people are evil. Why would they fight for them?
Yeah, it's especially since, well, the fact that the Austrian painters' forces exist is the way Germany is today, which is a bit of an overcorrection if we're being honest.
Regardless, by posting that and even providing some sources to that, I was basically viciously attacked by, well, what I kind of suspect to be
Glowies?
the Neo crowd, if you will.
Okay, so Fed posters and glowies. Got it.
Well, yeah, basically. I even had one who basically went after me for being a voice actor, saying that I post cringe material.
I have people.
And
Looking
at his channel, all he ever does is post really obscure music.
I had a bunch of people on Twitter the other day because I got into a fight with some glow posters go after me and my channel because I have a little bit of an accent and a little bit of a lisp. And I'm like, okay, am I wrong though? Does Nick Fuentes not fuck catboys in the ass? He does.
Hopefully it doesn't get the video taken down for saying that.
Oh, please, if they can put dick or dildo up on YouTube, they can handle Nick Fuentes doing some femboy catboys in the bottom.
Regardless, this is the nature of the internet. It provides a very simple screen between you and the person you want to offend. A lot of things that people say online, they would never say in person because they'd likely get punched in the face for it. But here, it gives them an easy excuse to throw a stone at somebody. I mean, just pull up new comments on any trailer or any kind of particular divisive piece of media, and you will find some truly vitriol, evil stuff on there.
And it's like, it's all this copyright abuse is just that on a larger scale, because it isn't just, basement-dwelling mongoloids from Alabama doing it. It's the actual fucking companies. And it's just sad. It's just sad that this is the human condition, but it's... Well, what can we do about it? It's the way that it is, and... we'll wait till the end of the video, because I have an announcement to make.
Piracy is a problem. And if someone is pirating your work, or even worse, making a profit off of it, you have a right to stop it. But not at the cost of freedom of speech. And fair use is freedom of speech.
It is.
The funny thing is, it doesn't even take much to spot fair use. If a video is running your product with few to no comments or changes, or the changes are just alterations so that they don't get caught, it's probably piracy. But if the video isn't even half the length of your work and someone constantly comes on to talk about it, or it's edited to make a point or use satire, then it's probably fair use. And sure, some mistakes can come from this too. It's expected, but not nearly as many as the system that is in place now, and not at the cost of common sense. Because here's the thing, we're not going away. Content creators like us have only gotten bigger, and all your attempts to keep us down have only made us stronger. No matter what you do, we will always find a way to comment, to praise, to criticize, to satirize, and to educate. And to all the YouTubers out there, whether you make a living at this or you just watch for entertainment, this is something we all need to stick together on, because change is already happening. Many studios, whether gladly or begrudgingly, are being forced to work with the internet. But there are still some who want to stay away and will do anything in their power to stop online entertainment from evolving, including infringing your rights. We need to show this isn't okay, and it never will be okay. If we can make it clear now that fair use is real, it's being abused, and it's hurting the growth of an industry you love to watch or produce, we can create a more stable environment for new creators to produce great work. The internet is a place where anyone can become famous. Let's try to keep it that way.
I'm Alex from I Hate Everything, and where's the fair use?
I'm Adam from YMS or Your Movie Sucks, and I've been asking, where's the fair use?
I'm the Nostalgia Critic. Where's the fair use?
And that's pretty much the end of the video. And I'm glad he said it that way, because even though he probably wouldn't agree on an ideological level, because Doug is from Chicago, he does lean a bit lefty. Let me just turn this off. He does lean a little bit lefty, and probably wouldn't agree on a completely ideological level. This is a free speech issue. Fair use is indeed free speech. If you don't have the right to criticize movies and TV shows, then what rights do you have? Because if you can't criticize things as simple as that, what's stopping them from stopping you from criticizing the government?
Basically, and we're already seeing this in place, to the point that they are now actively going after people who do exactly that. They use YouTube, they use Google as a truncheon to do it.
Like it started when the first day came for the movie reviews, and then in 2020, they went after people who had actual legitimate criticisms of the government lockdowns, including actual scientists calling out the flaws in the vaccines. And this is why, like, from now on, because I'm sick and tired of dealing with the copyright system, I'm just going to give YouTube what they want, and if a video comes up and gets... I'm going to pull out the parts in it that they don't want me having. But my videos are always going to be uploaded on the same day onto Rumble, who don't... Excuse me. Indigestion. Who don't do this to me, because Rumble actually cares about its users. Rumble is basically YouTube the way it was. And I like BitChute, which kind of was a dead duck because they refused to adapt. Rumble is actually striving to become more than just right-wing YouTube, because you're starting to see like independent and center-leaning and non-political commentators also bringing their content to Rumble. And
Which is ultimately what is going to be needed for it to grow.
yeah,
Like-
YouTube is going to need the competition. It can no longer be in the monopoly if we want things to change.
Like Koopa brought up with BitChute, the biggest problem with that channel, and I still do have one over there,
So do I.
is that it only became a haven for the right wing, but it eventually got taken over by the alt-right, who basically just want to turn that into their own propaganda system.
Mhm.
That is not the way to attract people on. And unless you do attract people on, you are going to fail.
And
You
be-
have to get users on there.
And because Rumble is courting not just the right-wing pundits like Steven Crowder, but because their system is so much like YouTube but better, you're actually getting movie reviewers and game reviewers and all that coming to Rumble. That's why Rumble is slightly more successful, even though they're still kind of growing. And because they're offering not only fair use protections but free speech protections for its users, that's probably what's going to win at the end of the day. And let's hope so, because that's what's going to take to change.
Competition.
Anyway, this has been the Koopa Man.
And this has been Tracer Krieg.